What's up, guys? SAG here, and welcome to another video. Here we have college football spread talk week number 7, and let's just get started here. Let's take a look at week number 6. It was another successful week, guys. We're starting to win now. We're starting to get on track. We're starting to make the right reads. Starting to feel it a bit. Let's get this money. We're starting to win now, big time. Looking at our void picks, we went 3-1. Obviously, they were void picks. Purdue getting the win outright against Maryland. Tennessee dominating LSU. Vanderbilt getting the cover, almost beating Ole Miss. And Alabama, man, was that off. There's a reason why I put that as an avoid pick, because I didn't know what Alabama would be like with a backup quarterback. Now, with our average picks, Iowa covered the 4 against Illinois. Stanford, man, they played Oregon State to a really close game. Oregon State on the road is a different team than what they are at home. Georgia outright dominated Auburn. Oklahoma State pulled out against Texas Tech, got a -9.5. Ohio State dominated against Michigan State. We did lose with Washington. Clemson dominated against Boston College. Iowa State won. Only lost by 1, so we got the cover. Kentucky -10. They lost outright to South Carolina. Florida State covered, +3.5. Kansas was a push at +7, and Utah was a loss. 8-3-1 in our average picks. In our money picks, we went 4-1-1 with Boise State winning and covering easily. BYU +4. Lost against Notre Dame by 8, so that was rough. Michigan got a push against Indiana. It was a tough one, but we got the push with -21. This is why every point counts. Wisconsin, man, it was the pick of the week, wasn't it? Wisconsin against Northwestern. Northwestern's trash, and you can't be giving that many points to a good Wisconsin team off the coach being fired. USC won and covered theirs at -13.5, and Wake Forest won and covered against Army. So we are at 4-1-1 in our money picks. Let's take a look at an all-time record. We're 20-15-3. Money picks 57%. Our average picks are 66%. At 35-18-2, and our void picks are 64%, 16-9-1. Our money picks had a rough start to the season. Now they're starting to catch up, and we're starting to win some cash, guys. We're starting to push at a good clip. Seems like I'm starting to get everything down with college football. So this week I'm going to be a bit faster. I'm going to just go through my picks. I'm going to preview approximately 5 games, and then I'll give you my picks. So the first game I'm going to cover out of the 5 is Alabama against Tennessee. Alabama 7.5-point favorites. Now the Crimson Tide, they've won 5 of the last 6. Bryce Young should return in this one, playing pretty well. Ja'Cory Brooks has combined for 446 receiving yards and 7 TDs, while Jahmyr Gibbs has 22 receptions. Now their rushing game has 257 yards per contest, with Gibbs leading the way. And then defensively, they've only allowed 12.5 points per game, with Henry Toto, that's the real name, leads the team with 39 tackles. Will Anderson Jr. has 5 sacks, and Terrion Arnold has 1 interception. Now Tennessee, they've won 7 of the last 9 home games. Hendon Hooker has completed 70% of his passes with 1,432 yards, 10 TDs, no picks. Jalen Hyatt and Brew McCoy have combined for 739 receiving yards and 7 TDs, while Cedric Tillman has 17 receptions. Now, the Volunteers, they average 207 yards per contest running, and Jaden Wright leads the way with 315 yards and 4 TDs. Now, defensively, they allow 17 points per game and 396 yards per game. Now, the Crimson Tide are 4-1 and against the spread in their last 5 against grass. On grass, well, the Volunteers are 2-5 in their last 7 against their own conference. And in Tennessee, the Crimson Tide are 9-1 against the spread covering in their last 10 meetings in Tennessee. This one, guys, I really love Tennessee to win in the cover. Alabama has a hard time playing on the road against the Tennessee team that can throw the ball. Alabama's pass defense isn't good. Whenever it's been close, usually with Bryce Young on the field, it's because they're playing a good team with a good offense here, guys. I think 7.5 is a lot. Tennessee is at home, guys. Man, I really love this number. Could this be an Alabama statement game? Yeah, but I really don't think it is. I think Tennessee's going to be hyped, and Hendon Hooker is the real deal. He's going to compete. I'm taking Tennessee in an average pick at +7.5. Next up, we have Oklahoma State heading to TCU to take on the Horned Frogs. Now, Oklahoma State has won 5 of the last 6 road games with Spencer Sanders flinging the ball for 12 TDs and 2 picks. They have Braden Johnson and Brennan Presley in the receiving game, while their running game is led by Dominic Richardson, who has 355 yards and 4 TDs. Now, defensively, they give up 25 points per game and 422 yards per game, with Mason Cobb leading the way in tackles. Now, for the Horned Frogs, they've won 6 of the last 9, with Max Duggan leading the way, and he played great against Kansas. He has 14 touchdowns and 1 pick for 1,305 yards. Now, on the receiving game, they got Quentin Johnson and Tay Barber and Darius Davis. Now, in their ground game, they average about 230 yards per contest, with Kendre Miller leading the way. Now, defensively, they have allowed around 24 points per game, with Mark Perry leading the team in tackles, and Josh Noon has 2 picks. Now, against the spread, the Cowboys are 16-5-1 in their last 22 on the road, while in their last 5 overall, the Horned Frogs are 4-0-1 against the spread. In the last 4 meetings, the home team is 4-0 against the spread in the last 4. And the underdog in their last 7 meetings is 6-1. Here, guys, I really like TCU to win in a cover. I think Oklahoma State, they had their big win in Baylor, but this is the game where TCU shows out. They're at home. They got Max Duggan at the quarterback. And I don't know what Oklahoma State's defense is going to do to stop them, because I don't think they have much. I think TCU is ready to take a big step, and Spencer Sanders is due for a reality check. While this Oklahoma State offense is really good, their defense is really not that good. And I think TCU's defense will do enough to hold up. Let's sit back and enjoy this game. I wish it was at 3. I'm going to take it at 3.5. TCU minus 3.5, and I'm going to make it an average pick. Next game, we're going to cover Clemson going to Florida State. Clemson is 4.5-point favorites. Now, Clemson, they've stormed out of the gate playing pretty well. They're 6-0. Wins over Georgia Tech, Furman, Louisiana Tech, and then 2 big wins against Wake Forest and NC State. And then in Boston College, they emerged victorious 31-3. We got the cover there. Now for Florida State, they beat DeQueese, I think, LSU, Louisville, and Boston College. But then they lost to Wake Forest. Against NC State, the Seminoles blew a 17-3 halftime lead and ended up losing 19-17. What was a rough loss, as Jordan Travis threw 2 interceptions. Now, against the spread, the Tigers are 6-1 against the spread. In their last 7 conference games, and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 road games. While the Seminoles are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 conference games, and 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 overall. And also Florida State is 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 after an ATS win. This game, guys, I love Clemson in this game. What last game showed was if you have a good defense like NC State's, you can stop the Seminoles team. And Clemson has exactly that. And they have a great offense with Loaguai, who's now using his feet to run of course using his feet, but he's running the ball now a lot more. Brings another dimension to this offense. I love the way he's throwing the ball. It's a good mix. And this defense should do enough to really make a statement in this game. Florida's a really good team, but when you play one of the best teams in the world like Clemson, you're going to have a really hard time. And I think Clemson prevails in their run for the national championship. They know this is a big game, and they're ready for it. Guys, I got to take Clemson. They're on a revenge tour, guys, after last year. I'm taking them at minus 4.5. The 4th game I'm going to cover here, let me scroll it down. We have USC, who are giving up 4 points, going up against Utah. Utah's minus 4 here. Now, USC kicked off the year in a nice run. They won against Rice, Stanford, and Fresno State. They barely got by Oregon State and then beat Arizona State. Now, in the Washington State game, they got outscored 13-0. They outscored the Washington State Cougars 13-0 to prevail 30-14 at home. Now, Caleb Williams had 2 TDs, while Travis Dye had 28 carries for 149 yards and a touchdown. Now, on the Utah side, they lost to UCLA as they were down 14-10, and they just couldn't crawl back, ended up losing 42-32. Now, Cameron Rising had 287 yards and an interception with 2 running scores. Now, Utah is 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 at home and 6-1 against the spread versus a team with a winning record. While USC is 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 in October and 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 road games. Here, guys, I really like USC to win in the cover. I feel like they're being underestimated in this game. You get them as underdogs. I get they don't have the greatest of run defenses, but they'll stack the box. They're going to make Cameron Rising throw that ball. And look who they have. They have Caleb Williams, Travis Dye, Mario Addison, Jordan Addison and Mario Williams. They have the talent to get it done on offense. They'll be able to they got the running game, the pass offense. They're going to get off to a good start and prevail against this Utah team. They know they need to make a statement. This is a statement game where they're going to show that USC is the real deal. Now, I'm not as confident to make this a money pick, but I've been really high on USC, and I'm continuing to ride that train. I'm taking USC plus the 4. You get them at plus points. I get Utah's a good team, but USC is also a really good team, and they have a legit shot at the college football playoff, and this is a prove-it game for them. Caleb Williams is the real deal, and he's going to play one of the best games of his career because this is his chance to show out. So I'm taking USC plus the 4. Last game I'm going to cover is, I think, the biggest game of the week, really. It has to be. It's the 10th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions heading to the Big House to take on the Michigan Wolverines, who are 7-point favorites. Now, Penn State have won 4 of their last 7 road games, with Sean Clifford completing 62% of his passes for 9 TDs and 2 picks. They got Parker Washington and Brendan Strange, and they also have Mitchell Tinsley. Now, they are averaging around 200 yards per game on the run, with Nicholas Singleton, who's been a great prospect, leading the way. Now, defensively, they've been rock solid. They have allowed only 14.8 points per game and 342 yards per game, with Jair Brown leading the way with 25 tackles, Danny Dennis Sutton with 3 sacks, and Zakee Wheatley with 2 picks. Now, the Michigan Wolverines haven't lost a home game since November 2020. J.J. McCarthy is completing 78.3% of his passes for 1,052 yards, 9 TDs, and interception, while Ronnie Bell and Luke Shoemaker have combined for 619 yards and 3 TDs. Of course, you have Roman Wilson also to go with that. Now, their ground game with Blake Corum is the real deal, averaging 215 yards per contest. They really are. Blake Corum is so amazing. He has 11 TDs and 735 yards. Now, defensively, they're only allowing 12 points a game, with Junior Colson leading the way, Mike Morris with 5 sacks, and Rod Moore with 2 interceptions. Now, the Nittany Lions are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 on the road, and 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 in October. While Michigan is 9-3 against the spread in conference play, and 14-6 in their last 20 overall. In this game, guys, I really like Penn State to win in a cover. I think this is going to be a neck-and-neck game. I get Michigan's a really good team, but I just don't think – I think they're going to win the game, but it ain't going to be more than one score. I think Penn State really does a good job of keeping them in the game. We must not disrespect Penn State. They're a really good team. So I like Penn State here, plus the 7. Sean Clifford is really good. Strange, Washington. It's going to be a really good game, guys. I think Michigan does win the game, but I think Penn State ends up covering at plus the 7. Give me Penn State plus 7 here as an average pick. So, guys, I'm going to go over all my picks for this week. I only wanted to cover 5 games because sometimes it's a lot covering every single game. But in this one, my avoid picks are Auburn plus 16, Kansas plus the 9. In my average picks, I have Maryland minus 11, Baylor minus 3.5, Iowa State plus 16.5 against Texas, Penn State plus 7, BYU minus 3, Tennessee plus 7, Syracuse minus 4.5, TCU minus 3.5, Kentucky plus 7 against Mississippi State, LSU plus 3 against Florida, Clemson minus 4.5, and USC plus the 4. In my money picks, I'll do a quick explanation. Minnesota playing a bad Illinois team. Now, Minnesota, they got blown out, so people are going to overreact. But I know with Mohamed Ibrahim, they're going to get him back. He's a good pass protector. Tanner Morgan's going to be unleashed, and they'll be able to run the ball better. Guys, Minnesota minus 6.5, man. Money, money, money. Make your money off this one. Oregon State minus the 3. Oregon State at home is the real deal. Last year, they went undefeated at home, and their only loss this year at home is against a good USC team, which they fought to the last minute against. Guys, give me Oregon State minus 3. Wisconsin minus 7 against Michigan State. I really love Wisconsin in this spot. They came off a great game last week. Michigan State is garbage, guys. They're horrible. I was at the game against Ohio State. These guys stink. Wisconsin's going to blow them out of the water by more than 7 points at the least. because in my opinion, Wisconsin's just as good as the Maryland team that won by 14 against Michigan State. Michigan State is garbage. They're just like Northwestern, maybe a slightly better. But you get a touchdown here with Wisconsin, guys. Wisconsin -7. Keep cashing out people. Keep cashing off these bookies against Michigan State because they suck. Stanford +17. Notre Dame had a great game last week against BYU, but they're not 17 points good against a Stanford team that showed out last week against Oregon State. They played Oregon State to a good game at home. Notre Dame at home is not very good at covering the spread. They're not really that much of a home field advantage. Marshall and California play them close, and I see more of the same here when Stanford comes to Notre Dame. Guys, give me Stanford +17. I was thinking about making an average pick, but I think this 17 is so much, I have to make it a money pick. Only 4 money picks this week. So, guys, let's make some more cash. We're really off to a great start now. Sorry, we're starting to catch speed, I'd say. Not a great start. We didn't start off great, but we're starting to push more and make some money, guys. If you enjoy this content, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in to College Football Spread Talk.